A pirate's life for me. I set out on a quest to build the best ships to terrorize the seas. In Skull and Bones, I have built every ship available. I have over 100 hours of gameplay and was ranked top 600 in Pieces of 8. This game has surprised me with the depth of progression and the enjoyment of building a worthy sea vessel. It is grindy though. In this video, I will be sharing findings on what ships you need to build and which ships are just a waste of time. I'll provide tips on build order and resource gathering, including some major mechanics on Pieces of 8, so you can become a fearsome pirate as quickly as possible. I obviously start out with the Dhow. This ship was pretty meaningless with no customization other than upgrading your hunting spear. By the way, if you're wondering if you can hunt the Kuharibu, the sea monster with it, you can't. Your little ship just can't make it out into the open seas, even on a nice day. So my first goal was to get a Bedar as fast as possible, and this is what you should be doing too. This is the first real ship and will allow you to collect resources needed to build your future ships. Now, you get access to building this after you've finished the tutorial and you talk to Skurlock. You can go into the town and roll him around. You'll run down here to the shipwright. Here he is right here. You'll talk to him, but before you can actually build it, you have to get the blueprint for it. And so if you go to buy and sell, you scroll over back, he actually has the blueprint also. So you go here, it does cost 660. Hopefully in the tutorial area, you broke into a couple of those shipwrecks. You should have enough silver to buy this. So once that's done, then you can go into craft new items and you'll see this ship's right here. Maybe you did a little bit of exploring beforehand and you have all these resources, then you can build it immediately. If you don't and you need to get them, you can actually press F to track it. And this is a really easy way to find any resources for any blueprints that you're trying to do. Maybe you're going for a weapon or furniture or just anything. You can press F to track that or whatever the button is for console. And then you can find it, and on the map, once you go to the map, it'll actually show you where you can find these resources, and you can just float your little Dhow around to collect those. One thing to note, you need that extra silver. There are some shipwrecks down here. Shipwrecks are a great place to get that early silver, so you can get it. There are a couple animals on the ground, so be ready to spear them, but you should be good to go from there, and then you'll be in the Bedar. It was really cool when I finally got this built. I'm sure y'all can remember as well if you've already done it, but once I got it fully loaded with cannons and I sunk my first ship, ooh, it was good. It was really good. Now, I went on a killing spree, like literally attack everything I could see, just learning how to land the critical shots and even taking out a tower or two. I did quickly realize I'm still just a tiny fish in the sea, and it was time to look at the next ship. Now, there are a few options at this stage for small ships, and I've now tested all of these out, but if you look at stats, it's very clear which of these is the best, and really there's only one you need to focus on until you get to the medium-sized ships. If we look at this spreadsheet I made, I have shared this in the description below. If you use it, if you check it out, please give us a like and subscribe to help our channel. I also have a nice commodities page here. Oh, it's kind of nice. It's definitely not formatted. It doesn't look great, but it has the important stuff. I was using this for myself, but I guess I'll just share it with you guys. So I have where you can buy all this stuff at a discount and then where you can sell it all. Now, I haven't gone to all these settlements and cities for Africa and to the northeast, but it does have all the traders at every fast travel location. Or the settlements, and I've found and recorded all the best locations. So you can figure out where you want to sell some stuff. There are just some really good places to you can always go to. Any of the shipwreck rogues at these three locations always generally have these, so that's a good like one-stop shop just to sell a lot of things. You can always get them maybe not the best price, especially I think for all of these it's only like a little bit of an increase on the selling, but if you want to sell these three, that's always a good place to sell. Anyways, back to the ships, what we're talking about. So we're now in the small ship size section, and so you have the Bedar, you're looking good, but realistically all the other smalls, they just are kind of a waste. If you look at the cutter, it's really small, it's really weak. It does have a cool effect if you're able to play with other players. Unfortunately, I played totally solo, so I wouldn't suggest doing that, and it restores a whole bunch of health, but it doesn't have a lot of health to begin with, so it's just kind of not helpful. But if we just look at the Hulk, might as well just jump to it. It has so much effective health. It starts off with 30,000, which is better than any of the other smalls, and it has 24,000 brace strength. And if you haven't learned about brace yet, that is the function where you can press space or whatever the button is on your controller to negate any damage up to whatever the health is. And 24,000 is almost double your health right here, and it recharges very quickly as long as you have stamina. And then that's not even it for the Hulk. The Hulk has some additional abilities where the brace strength is increased by 250%. You do the math on that, that's an additional 60,000 health. And then it recharges, recovery is increased by 25%. So you basically have unlimited health. And when I built this, I was floating around as a tank, and I got into fights I shouldn't have, but I never died. I went against like one of the world events for the merchant ships. It was like 5 level 10 ships. I'm like, I'm going in, and I got totally attacked and I did no damage. I was like, okay, I'm gonna run away now, but having that brace really saved me. So that's why I would just suggest building the Hulk. It is slower. It only has a 10 trim speed, and the cutter is quite quick at 13, and then these are 12, but realistically I didn't feel the difference. A lot of times when you're under wind, that's almost identical, and I just didn't think it was that necessary. If you look at weapon slots, maybe the slop or sloop, whatever that is, might be better in some cases because you can have more weapon slots for the all-deck weapons. But the problem is, if you do that, you're not even using the abilities that this comes with. It comes with a bonus explosive hit, so you want to be using cannons, bombards, sorry. You want to be using the bombards there, but if you can only get 3 on both sides, you don't even have a rear slot for weapons. I just thought that the Hulk still had more damage capabilities because I would do like front, side, back, and then I'd usually try to one-shot most smaller ships like that. So I think that the Hulk is really all you need. Don't waste your effort building these other 3 small ships because you can just save up and go to the next one, which is the Padewakang. So yeah, let's go ahead and start talking about that then. To get the Bombardier, the Padewakang, you will need to stockpile a significant amount of silver before you make your adventure. I would say probably 15,000 silver, and then your Hulk should be decently set up with some good weapons and armor just to make sure you can make the voyage across the ocean. You gotta go pretty far. You're gonna travel to the northeast and have a whole bunch of, I personally had a whole bunch of cooked coconuts to use for stamina efficiency meals and have a good amount of repair kits. The open ocean is full of some high-level ships, storms, rogue waves. They can all eat your ship. For me, I had a few level 2 weapons and layered scales armor 2. That was enough to just survive. I didn't really poke in any bears and try to fight, but I also found this outpost about halfway. You should definitely do this. Just make sure you have a place. It's also just nice to have it for fast travel later on, but in case you do die, you don't have to like respawn all the way back or try and risk respawning back at sea, but then you can also continue your journey up north. I did also do a whole bunch of exploring in the region in the north before I actually found the port. I also explored all of Africa before traveling east and north. So probably a major contributor of why I'm behind on the leaderboard, and I would suggest not doing it. Get this medium ship first. It's going to make the rest of your playthrough a lot more fun. But once again, once you got into port and you've checked it around, I looked around and then I found the shipbuilder. And then he had the blueprint for that. Oh, it was game time. So buy that and set it as your task. It'll show you all the locations for the resources in the local area. You can then venture out in your Hulk to get everything. Try not to start too many fights in this region, especially with the Dutch. There's a lot of Dutch ships and the forts are terrifying. I definitely picked a couple fights that I needed to run away from, and some of the areas are just really tight and close and you might not be able to escape. So watch out for that. The rarest resource, or uncommon to find, is the shellac. These are expensive. You can only buy a few at a time. You're going to need double that amount to build the mortar, your nuclear bomb cannon that'll be on your ship later. I found that attacking trade routes was pretty effective, and depending on weaponry, you can also try to do a plunder to quickly gain those resources. Just be careful. I actually just went back after I unlocked the Padewakang and plundered it and got the resources for the mortar. Now, with the mortar installed, you will feel like a deadly pirate. Traveling on the ship, I noticed my speed of like 11, 12 into wind felt night and day different, and the 14 trim sail from 10 was a nice jump in speed. With Padewakang, I also noticed the immediate jump in firepower. I went out to the high seas to see if I could take down one of those privateers in the red. It was an ugly battle, but I won it. And when you came back to the port, everyone's like, "Oh, you took a privateer?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did. I took it down. Let's go." But note that your actual health is roughly the same as the Hulk, but your brace damage is much less. So in extended fights, you will find yourself running out of brace and taking a lot more damage. You're going to feel squishier, but you can fight back. I actually died a couple times early because I just didn't know how I couldn't soak up as much as I thought I could. I could fight and win against almost anything on the sea, including the endgame scenarios like the ghost ship and sea monster, as well as the helm quests. You will need to find some good weapons and armor, but at a solid 8-9 ship threat level, you're going to feel pretty good. Now, I went and built the Snow thinking it would be similar to the Hulk for the medium class. It would be the overpowered one that just makes you feel like an unkillable tank. Unfortunately, it's not unkillable, and it doesn't feel as strong or healthy as the Hulk did in its earlier game. I would advise going straight to the Brigantine next. This ship is incredible. It'll help you collect resources, go through the rest of the campaign, and just finish the game to where you need. The Snow does have its uses, specifically in forts, especially the Dutch ones and maybe the French ones to the south west, but really rare occasions where you're going to need that. The Brigantine, you will be using that often, and it'll just help you get around the map. It is so quick, and once you get the oh man, when I hosted my colors, and I got red and black because that's what I like to do with a little bit of white. I have this cool paint color. It looks incredible. I loved it. And then you put on a nice symbol. It just feels really, really good. Now, you can find the blueprint with a corrupt DMC officer. It's expensive. It's almost 16,000 silver, and finding the resources will take some time. Now, for weapon builds, there are a couple options, and I'll do videos on those later about my builds for PvP events, world events, and more. But the next ship on your radar will be the Sambuk. To get this ship, it is a true commitment and grind. To build this final ship, you're going to need to collect 5,000 pieces of 8 for the blueprint, and this is where the end game for Skull and Bones really starts. I'm busy. Hello. I'm recording here. Hello, everyone. Say hi to Miss Mazikeen. If you haven't yet, you should now finish your main campaign missions for Skurlock and Rama, the leader of Tuluk Banjara. If you, for some reason, you haven't and actually skipped all the campaign up to this point, which would be impressive. Now, you should have a new mission to speak to the manager of Le Pont Mute. I'm probably butchering that in St. Anne's. This is where you're going to start learning about the Helm, a secret organization of smugglers that have the 8th large manufacturing and supplying of rum, gin, opium, and snuff. And this is where we're going to earn our pieces of 8. I really was blown away when I saw this. It was totally different. I went down this deep rabbit hole, testing out and learning about all these different mechanics, and honestly, I lost a lot of time. I wasted some, did some bad choices, but in the end, I will be doing an extensive breakdown video of how to best earn these from someone who is near the top of the leaderboard, because if you do this wrong, it can take weeks of gameplay to earn enough for your Sambuk. But once you do have your operation set up, you can crank out 5k coins in a day. So you're going to want to subscribe for that video. But to get started, you're going to want to do all the delivery missions, at least until you get your manufacturing capabilities fully operational. It's just not worth your time sailing all over the continent, picking up little bits in here from your deposits. For like 10 to 15 minutes, you can crank out close to 500 pieces of 8 by just doing this delivery mission. So just do that, upgrade your manufactories. Once they're about 3 to 4 and you have all of them, so you can just do a nice collection line, do a big loop, collecting everything, that's when it's actually worth it. Now, once you do buy that treasured blueprint, you can build your Sambuk. Personally, I actually thought this ship was a total waste. I was so mad at first because I thought I just wasted 5,000 pieces of 8. I threw away my top 500 slot because I didn't think it was going to be useful, and I could have used that just to build up my empire. Well, this ship is actually pretty filthy in some scenarios, specifically in hostile takeovers. Once you open up the new regions, you have to take over the forts, the level 4 forts. They are very hard to take over, and if there's another player in there, you're probably not going to take it over. Both of you are going to lose because they just send so many ships. You even have to kind of work together, but when they send that many ships, you can chain link a whole bunch. If we look back at our spreadsheet here, the Sambuk deals 5,000 damage once they get ablaze, so full fire stacks. And then what happens is that spreads to every ship, tower, anything within 150 meter radius. So you can light up whole fleets. I've had like 7 ships, 2 towers just get lit up, and it does significant damage because then after that they take a 50% increase in damage to anything, which includes flooding damage. I had put on a flooding demi cannon in the back. I have the flooding mortar, and then you're just attacking it with the Zamzama level 3s because at first I didn't have the spectral sea fire weapon or the Zamzamas, and I thought that it sucked. I thought it was pretty useless. And once you equip the proper loadout, which I think is having a spectral sea fire front, the Zamzamas on the sides, and then in the back you're gonna have a flooding demi cannon, and with your flooding Leopold mortar, you're going to have a ship that can really out DPS most things. Now in PvP, it still isn't quite the best option, but in these scenarios where there's just so many ships, this is the only way you survive. You can try and outlast with a snow. Your Brigantine will die because you can't move around enough, and you'll get chunked down. You're kind of squishy. The Sambuk is really the only option for some of these. After that, you have now unlocked all of the ships in this game. There is the snow. You can unlock that. I think I mentioned it earlier, but that's good for going against forts, specifically the level 4 forts or level 12 or above for the Dutch and the French. I've done that in doing it with a friend. That's the only way we could get through, is both playing snow, because you just have to tank so much damage and they're prolonged battles. So that is the best ships in the area. I hope this video was good for you. If you like this video, give us a like, smash that subscribe button for future content, and I hope to see you guys next time. Caveman logging off.